We have recently reported that Border Patrol is adding more agents to the Rio Grande Valley sector to handle the surge of undocumented immigrants arriving from Central America. But this has already been a serious problem for almost 2.5 years. And we found that hundreds of millions of federal dollars that were appropriated this year to help find solutions in these countries was never used. And the ones bearing the biggest hardships on this side of the border are the longtime volunteers of the Respite Center at Sacred Heart Church in McAllen.
¿Cómo estuvo su viaje? Difícil. Bueno, pues ahora vamos mejor por aquí.
This is day 900 and counting. So far, over 59,000 immigrants entering the country illegally from Central America have passed through these doors at the Respite Center at Sacred Heart in McAllen. The influx began on June 9th of 2014. At that time, it was big news. Just ask Luisa Escamilla.
I remember like 2 years ago, was a lot of media around here.
She's been volunteering since that first day. But the media is long gone, as is the national attention. Still, an average of 350 people a day continue to pour in. Do you feel like you were forgotten?
Yes.
Now, only the volunteers remain, helping people each day with food and clothing, a place to clean up, and paperwork for their next destination as they await their immigration hearings, with no end in sight. Every day?
Every single day.
Weekends?
No holidays, no nothing. Every single day. We're here and we're helping every single family that arrives and needs our help.
Sister Norma Pimentel has led the efforts and has even been recognized by Pope Francis for her work with the immigrants.
It really touches my heart to realize, how painful it is and must be for this family, this mother, to have to go through all that they have to go through because they have no other option.
It's important to note that 99% of these people come from countries other than Mexico. And they're not coming to this country so much just for opportunity as they are in desperation to flee their country and get away from the violence. They come primarily from 3 countries known as the Northern Triangle that rank among the most violent on the planet. El Salvador has the highest murder rate in the world for a country not at war. It all stems from a civil war that dates back 4 decades. Honduras is marred by human rights abuses by armed gangs. Children are under frequent pressure to join those gangs. And last year, Guatemala averaged 91 murders a week, driven by drug trafficking throughout the nation. To find out how the problem is being addressed, we caught up with Congressman Henry Cuellar during a recent visit to the Valley. He sits on the House Appropriations Committee in Washington. He says last December, the committee appropriated hundreds of millions of federal dollars for the State Department to use for programs and solutions. But the money was never spent.
The money we gave them, the $750 million, they still haven't used one single penny.
Realistically, Congressman, right now, do you see an end in sight?
Well, this is no. The answer is no. We have to get to the root of the problems, and till the State Department gets off and gets this job done, we're not going to see a slowdown on this.
Unfortunately, instead of looking at the humanitarian reality that we're seeing, we make it a political issue instead of what it truly is.
And what is it truly?
It's a people in need of help that are fleeing a reality in their countries that is frightening for them, and that's why they're here. They're actually refugees. They're actually people fleeing, asking for protection. Let's address it for what it is.
And until solutions are found, these volunteers will continue to work from sun up to sundown, 7 days a week, to help every person who walks through these doors.
And so here I am 2 years later, and still doing the same thing, still doing the same thing, helping them. They're tired, they're hungry. Look at the kids, they're so dirty, and they need our help.
At this point, there doesn't seem to be an end in sight. If we don't do something as a country to help these countries find ways and solutions and fund, not so much the government, but rather organizations like CRS that are actually working with the community and trying to resolve and make those communities better address the reality that they're going through, we're going to still see these families here.
Only a handful of volunteers have been with Sister Norma since the beginning. Others volunteer when they can. The food bank RGV donates food, and clothing comes from generous citizens. But the city of McAllen has given the Respite Center more than $430,000 from its emergency fund since 2014 to help keep it running. Other entities and cities have also helped out, bringing the total to more than $792,000. The federal government gives Texas millions of dollars to use for immigration issues. So we contacted Governor Greg Abbott's office to see if any of that money for humanitarian aid might be reimbursed. Well, they told us no. Their full response is on our website. Regardless, tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day, but that won't stop hundreds of Central Americans from crossing our border. And for Sister Norma and her volunteers, tomorrow will be day 901 and counting, with no end in sight.
Adelante, pásale, adelante, bienvenidos. Bienvenidos.